welcome to the third and final review of the evening. This time we have Dark Roll. This is actually a replacement game from something that we were planning on reviewing until I actually played it. Turns out it was a vendor trash game. That is to say, it is a game that barely worked. It
was fairly well disguised too.
Yeah, and it spammed achievements as soon as I opened it. I had it open for a few minutes and it had 7 achievements out of 500. We've talked about this kind of game before. Yeah. That only gets one review because otherwise, this is shite. This is a scam. Don't buy it.
Kind of a shame because the game it was pretending to be actually looked kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's unfortunate, but we are not promoting that shit. I mean, we didn't promote it the first time. It was more. This is some of the shit that ends up on Steam.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so instead we selected a free game, as we so often do when we need to replace something very quickly. And with this Dark Roll, this released literally last week, about 7 days ago. And it is a 3D platformer. Okay, so there are 2 kinds of marble games in the world. I know that's an odd statement, but you've got your marble rollers, think Super Monkey Ball or the Koto Rinpa series on the Wii.
It's a good hint that it's this kind of game is if you were actually moving the stage rather than your thing, and you have to actually worry about all the balance things, and you have no actual direct control over the ball.
Yeah, it's based off of that one game with the maze and the holes. I forget what it's called, but I think you know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got games like this, the Marble 3D platformer. Games in this series, the Marble Blast series, Marble Madness arguably qualifies. It's not a platformer, but you are moving a marble in a 3D-ish space.
I want to say Iggy's Wrecking Balls, but I never actually played that.
That's a racing game, actually. If you want the most fine interpretation of this, Glover, which is a character platformer based around what is essentially a marble.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bounce. It's a bouncy ball, but it's still got basically the same principles. Maybe some more advanced principles, but that's beyond. Point is.
Well, this game would play about the same if you had a intangible glove man riding around on top of your ball.
Yeah. Point is, this is a game where you control the marble itself, and you are worried about platforming. And
you do have rolly surfaces and a little bit more inertia than usual.
Yeah. I mean, that comes with being a marble game.
Mm-hmm.
This is still about this is about being a marble and collecting things by being a marble. Which means for this stage here, we've got a ramp, half pipes basically, and you're trying to collect all these gems via momentum and timing. And that is the basics of the game, and indeed that's about the first half of the game. You roll along, you collect these gems in very gray environments.
The dark in the thing is not a joke. It's dark.
Yeah.
The light source is apparently in universe diegetic or whatever the shit, but it's not very well aimed. Sometimes you get really fucking weird shadows. Sometimes.
Yeah.
This is true. That all changes when you hit level 11, and not coincidentally, this is where I stopped playing the game. I'll be honest, this is a decent, not spectacular, but a decent Marble 3D game.
Mm-hmm.
Right up until it tries to introduce more advanced features.
You guys got to the point where they started having enemies, right?
Not to enemies, but did get to the point where they introduced crates.
Okay.
Yeah. So this game, about halfway in, introduces using crates in typical video game ways. The first of which is using it as in order to jump higher. The second, and this is where the game just falls apart, or at least I don't know how prominent the crate puzzles are beyond this, but just doing this one was enough. That kind of speaks to how badly it was implemented.
Yeah.
You gotta take the crate and you gotta push it all the way to the other side to hit a switch. Once again, using a crate on a pressure plate is a pretty typical video game trope.
Yeah, but pushing things is usually easier when you have hands or, more than one point of contact.
And you're not rolling around because of uneven surfaces. Seriously, I spent like a half an hour pushing this crate. I kept falling off the ledge because I had to recenter myself because the push mechanics were all fucked up.
Now, also, you don't have actual full control of the camera in this. You can reverse it. You can look at it from the other side. Switch
that really
basically
didn't
back
help.
for front.
Yeah, that
there
didn't help
are
in this
some
stage.
puzzles. There are some puzzles in this game where it would definitely help to be able to look at it side on.
Yeah. And it's like didn't get to the enemies portion, so I don't know exactly how much of a hazard those are, but
yeah, this game does have enemies. It has enemies in boss fights, so yeah, it's not just a platform puzzle type game.
Yeah. And yet I feel like it probably should have stayed that.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose there was some nifty ambition in, like, on the Steam page, you got this guy with the cleaver attacking. I'm like, and I see more crates, so that was going to be a thing. Like, and that is unfortunate because, it's, like I said, it's a decent marble 3D platformer. Right until it introduces more advanced mechanics. The game just doesn't feel like it was built to handle those.
Yeah.
Like, now, whether or not that affects the recommendation, actually, no, it doesn't, because this game is free. This game is completely free. It is a free game that you can go download now.
It's fun enough to try, and who knows, maybe you'll like the great puzzles more than we do.
Yeah. I'm like, so there's no, like, and as far as time spent, like I said, it is at the very least a decent, competent, marble rolling game. It's no marble it up or anything, but that's a game that costs $20. This is a free one-man indie project, so.
It also has a surprisingly robust character creation system.
That it does. Yeah. It's got 24 skins. That you can
24 skins. 12 of them are just spheres of various types. I started as a watermelon. I think it rolls randomly, like it chooses randomly. There's like a basketball. There's an eyeball. I think one of them is the moon. And then there's a rainbow ball that's just great rainbow gradient. And then there are 12 that are different patterns, and those patterns can be colored. And the way that you color them is there are, like, I want to say 12 different fountains of color around the edge of the character creation area. And there's like red, orange, red, yellow, green.
You can combine some of the
cyan,
colors.
magenta. You can combine colors. There's black and white. You can tint and shade. And how long you stay in one of the color things affects how intense of that color you are. So, insofar as your character is a perfect sphere, you can pretty much make it the kind of sphere you want it to be. There's also a random one, and you get achievement for doing random.
Yes, like all in all, like I said, it's a pretty well put together free game. I'm like, it won't last you very long. It's like unless you have the problems with moving crates or whatever. But just like conceptually and in terms of design, this game isn't made to last 1,000 hours.
It has 20 stages over 3 quote-unquote worlds.
And they do get more...
Where I think the entire first world is pretty much the simple platforming puzzles, and then the later worlds introduce the more complicated mechanics.
So all in all, a mild recommendation. It's decent, but if you don't play it, you're not going to really miss anything either. This ball rolls in the middle. All right, so that'll about do it for this session of the Fragments of Silicon review. Coming up on the week ahead, let's see. On Wednesday, August 14th. I don't know why I thought October. On Wednesday, August 14th, we'll be having Chris Zukowiski, Polish name, other consonants, of Return to the Adventure Mountain LLC. We recently reviewed one of his games, One Screen Platformer, and we'll be talking about maybe not so much about that, but his grand project, and that is to make a game a month. Yeah, that sounds pretty ambitious, even if they are going to be simple games. So, anyway, and no Friday show this week. So no worries about that, Galax. All right. So until Wednesday, I shall wish you good gaming.